Thank you so much for your interest in the WNC AgOptions program. In this 1-hour video to follow, we're going to introduce you to the WNC AgOptions program, go over the 2023 application process, and review the 2023 application. If you do have an opportunity to attend one of these sessions in person, we highly encourage that you do that. Although this session will give you an idea of what to expect in the 2023 application process, if you attend in person, you'll be able to have your answers to your questions and be able to interact one-on-one with the WNC Communities staff. So that being said, let's get started. It might be helpful for you to have a copy of the 2023 application in hand for this information video. To do that, you can get it at our website, wncagoptions.org, or check the description box below for a link to take you to the application. Okay, let's get started. The AgOptions program was started in 2004. And as the agricultural landscape of Western North Carolina was changing with more and more farmers getting out of farming tobacco, the leaders in our area saw that there was a great opportunity to help farms and small family farmers diversify, expand, try new methods, all in the help of keeping farms in Western North Carolina strong and viable, and also keeping farms and farmland and keep our agricultural sector healthy. As it is the largest sector in our state, agriculture is very important, especially in Western North Carolina. So our project was started by folks in Cooperative Extension. So the North Carolina Cooperative Extension started this program, and we remain a program of Cooperative Extension. We also partner with some other organizations to help us along the way, including WNC Communities. Now, WNC Communities is a rural economic development organization that's been in Western North Carolina for over 70 years. They're the fiscal agent of the program, which means they apply to the Grant Tobacco Trust Fund Commission and manage the money and control the management of the program. So WNC Communities is who your check will come from should you receive an AgOptions award. We also use the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services as a resource. We have members of them on the AgOptions Steering Committee, which is made up of mostly Cooperative Extension agents, members from WNC Communities and NCDA, as long as other organizations in the area, such as ASAP, and other business and agricultural leaders. And of course, the entire program has been funded since 2004 from the North Carolina Tobacco Trust Fund Commission. So it is WNC Communities that applies to the grant to the Tobacco Trust Fund Commission, uses the resources, and is a program of Cooperative Extension and works closely with the Department of Agriculture as well. So the mission of WNC Communities is to build sustainable farming communities in Western North Carolina by providing resources directly to farmers to help diversify, expand, and try new methods on the farm. And our goals are really to target and assist tobacco farmers or those who were once in tobacco-dependent communities, which is basically the most of Western North Carolina. We want to help minimize risk in crop transition. But we also want to provide production, marketing, business planning assistance to help support AgOptions programs. So we're not just going to give money, we want to give support that will help these projects be successful. And we also want to demonstrate to the larger agricultural community in general how small family farms can try new methods, diversify, expand, and use them as an example for other farmers who are wanting to increase the sustainability and profitability of their farms. So we've had some major accomplishments since 2004 and our most recent grant cycle. Over 600 farmers have received these mini grants, totaling more than $3.5 million. Now, this does include 21 counties plus the Eastern Band in our footprint. And what's awesome about our program is that not only does it offer economic benefit to farmers in the year they receive the grant, also we see that 2, 3, 4 years down the road, the impact of these small grants really can be seen in how our farmers are able to strengthen their farm businesses with a little bit of influx of money from the AgOptions program. So again, this is our footprint. If you are a farmer or a farm business that is located out of the footprint that you see in front of you right now, you are not eligible for an AgOptions grant. But there are other cost share programs funded by the North Carolina Tobacco Trust Fund Commission that cover the rest of the counties in Western North Carolina. So please get a hold of us and we can help you figure out if this program is not for you, one that might be more suitable for you in your county. So let's talk a little bit about the 2023 application. So please, it would be good if you had the application in front of you right now. The first 4 pages are really the grant guidelines. For the 2023 cycle, we will have grants available in 2 amounts, $4,000 and $8,000. The amount will just be based on what you need to complete the goals of your proposed project. Note that the money is split out. Should you receive the grant, you would get a large portion of that right at the beginning of the year. So at the beginning of February, you would get that bulk of the money. A business plan is required for all of our grantees, and that is something that we will help you with and is part of our process to help strengthen farm businesses. And then $500 will be held back until you complete the paperwork and the requirements of the grant at the end of the grant cycle, which would be at the end of 2023. So who should apply? So our applicants and our grantees that are awarded need to be farmers that reside in North Carolina and whose projects are in North Carolina, and specifically in those western counties that you just saw on the screen. These are farms that are farm businesses. So we are targeting farms that are contributing to the overall economic viability of the agricultural sector in Western North Carolina. So support is provided to farmers who are expanding their operations to increase farm income and encourage the sustainability of their farm businesses. We are targeting family farms. So we define a family farm as one in which the family holds the financial responsibility, takes the risks, and provides the majority of the management decisions for the farm businesses. So nonprofits and any corporately owned farms are just not eligible for our program. We do support value-added projects, but we are saying that the farm businesses that add value or sell products need to be ones that are produced and grown on the applicant's farm. So value added is a fine project to do, but you must use the products that you produce in that value added project. And similarly, agritourism projects are also supported by our program, but we're hoping that the agritourism operation that you add or that you will be supporting with your AgOptions grant is really in hopes of increasing awareness of your farm and your farm's other products and services. So what is eligible? Like we have in the past, if you go to the WNC AgOptions.org website, every grant we have ever given in the past 18 years is profiled on our website. And so you'll get to see that when it comes to agricultural projects, it really is a vast array of what we support, from livestock projects, all kinds, anything from expanding a herd, maybe going into a diverse type of livestock, to enhancing the genetics of a herd, or even innovative ideas such as goat leasing, and projects like that have been supported in the past. Of course, fruits and vegetable projects. Not only are we looking for folks to expand or diversify what they grow, any kind of project on the farm that's going to add efficiency, reduce labor, increase profits, help expand markets are going to be eligible for our grant. Season extension and value added are also sort of a target that we support as well. Again, noting that for any value added products, cheese, jams, we want you to use the products that you are producing on your farm business in those value added products. Agritourism, like I mentioned, we have funded a number of agritourism projects in the past. Nurseries, ornamental, native plants are all eligible, and also specialty crops. So we've had hemp and ginseng, bamboo shoots, microgreens, so things that are sort of out of the usual. And of course, beekeeping is also eligible for our program. Keep in mind that priority is given. Because of the way we are funded from Tobacco Trust Fund Commission and the goals that we set forth, we are giving priority to current and former tobacco growers or any growers who are growing on land that your family once grew in tobacco. So in the application process, you're going to get a little bit of priority. We can talk about that later on when we go through the application. We are going to give priority to farmers who generate more than a half of their household income from their farm and/or are full-time farmers. We are targeting legitimate farm businesses. So if you are a hobby farmer with no sights set to expand your business for a major income source, you would be less eligible. Maybe you're on the cusp of moving from a hobby farm to a more full farm business. That is good. You are still eligible to apply, although we do like to tell you that farmers who have been farming longer and have had their businesses longer do get a little bit of priority in our process. And also, if you have already been working with your North Carolina cooperative extension agent, your local county agent, you'll have a little bit of priority in that, as they will be your partner for this project. And the more they know about you and your farming business, the more they'll be able to help you not only with your application, but help you with your project. And also, we do allow our farms to receive up to 3 AgOptions grants, but we do give priority in the application process to anybody who has not received a grant before. So if you've never received an AgOptions grant before, you're going to get a little priority in our process than those who are going after their second and third. After you receive a third AgOptions grant, you are no longer eligible for a fourth. So the applications are reviewed. There's a numeric scoring system that's based on the answers that you provide in your application. We get together anywhere from 25 to 30 leaders in agriculture throughout Western North Carolina participate in this review process, which is a multi-day event where a team of reviewers review each application. So it's not just one person's opinion on your application. 2, 3, 4, sometimes even 5 people will review each application to score it. And then the WNC AgOptions Steering Committee uses the scores as the primary guide for determining who receives an award at the end of the grant review process. What can you spend your grant on? So suitable expenses are those that are going to be associated with the production and marketing of the services or products that you produce on your farm. So that is going to include, but certainly is not limited to, things like seeds and fertilizers and plants, soil amendments, livestock, but it also could cover trainings, advertising, marketing materials, packaging, fencing, signage, upgrade to facilities, supplies, tools, and specialized equipment. Please note, though, that we are looking for a budget and expenses to include things that are directly related to the project that you are proposing. We are generally not going to be funding general purpose equipment. If your farm just needs a new tractor for general purpose, that is not going to be something that the program may be a priority to fund. However, if you are looking for a specialized piece of equipment to go onto your tractor to help dig root crops or use for other purposes, that would be more suitable for the grant. And also, items that cannot be funded by our award are things like your farm labor. So you and your family members' farm labor cannot be considered included for funding. Any kind of pre-existing farm debt or any expenses that are dated outside of our grant period. So the reason I mention this is because our grant period starts in January and goes through the end of the year, anything that you might buy now from now until the end of December that you want to apply to your grant, should you get the grant next year, would not be eligible. So it would have to be only things that are purchased from the time you get your acceptance letter until the end of the grant period. It is our intent to grant at least one award to all of the counties that we cover. Now, that is based on if we receive one or more qualifying grants from every one of those counties. Some years we don't receive grants from every county. Some years we don't receive grants from counties that are score high enough to even be considered for a grant. But again, because we cover such a large area, we try to, if there are grants that are worthy of being supported, to grant to everybody throughout the county. And what that just means is not only will you be competing against the whole entire grant application pool, it also could be competing within your county as well. Here's the timeline for the application process. October 14th is our intent to apply deadline. This is a very important deadline where by October 14th, you will need to contact your cooperative extension agent, the county ag agent that you work with in your county, to let them know that you intend to apply for the WNC AgOptions grant. Now, if you are someone who works closely with your cooperative extension agent, this may be a simple phone call to them to say, hey, I'm going to be applying for an AgOptions grant this year, and this is what I intend to do. That way, they can just make sure that they've got enough time scheduled between October 14th and the due date of November 18th, be able to support you with maybe you want them to review your application for you. Maybe you have some questions for them that are going to need to be answered in order to provide information to go into your proposal. This is what needs to happen. If you're someone who doesn't work closely with your ag agent, or maybe you don't even know who your ag agent is, it is even more important for you to contact them as soon as possible so that they can get to know you a little better. Maybe they'll want to come out to your farm to visit to see what you're doing, because again, they will be your partner on this application. And the more they know about you and your operation, the better they'll be able to assist you with your application and help you with your project. So again, very important October 14th deadline to get a hold of your ag agent. If you do not know who your ag agent is, please email us or call us. All of our information will be provided at the end of this video, and it will be in the description box as well. But please get a hold of us and we will help you get in contact with your cooperative extension agent. Applications are due November 18th. If you will be mailing or sending your app or hand delivering it, it needs to be at WNC Communities offices. We are located in Asheville at the entrance of the Western North Carolina Farmers Market. They need to be in our offices by the end of the day of November 18th. You can also submit your application by email. We'll go over the email requirements at the end of this video, but if you do email, your email will need to be in by noon on that day. So applications are due November 18th. The week of December 5th is when we will be reviewing the applications. So that is good to mark your calendars in case there's any questions that come up during the review about your project. We may wish to call you. So that would happen the week of December 5th. And then letters of acceptance and regrets will be mailed to all applicants the week of January 9th. I don't know when in January 9th that'll happen. I mean, when in the week of January 9th. Hopefully they'll go out on the 9th, but that is the week that we plan to send out the letters. And then there is a mandatory all-day orientation program on Thursday, February 2nd. So that will be the day you receive your first allotment with money, meet the other applicants, review the grant guidelines, and attend some additional educational workshops to help you with your project. So again, real quickly before we go over the application, The requirements of our grantees for 2023 must reside and your projects must be located within that 22 county unit, which encompasses those counties that we showed on the map earlier. Again, we want our applicants to be family farms. There is a 10% cost share match required. We'll go over that when we talk about the budget. So you will be asked to keep accurate production and financial records and supply the copy of your receipts at the end of the project to show that you did spend 10% of your budget that is a match from you. We do ask that you be available by phone or email throughout the year. This is very, very helpful to us to be able to get a hold of you. We've even developed an online grantee portal so that all important information and forms and anything that you need to know about the program will be there at one central place. So if you have access to the internet, that's going to be very helpful. You will be asked to attend that one-day orientation. Like I said, it's already been determined that's going to be on February 2nd. We will, a member of the AgOptions staff and possibly Tobacco Trust Fund Commission, WNC Communities, and your ag agent will visit, do sort of official site visit at least one time during the year. And business plans are required. So if you are somebody who has never written a business plan, please don't let this deter you from applying for the grant. We will help you with a business plan and we will help you create one should you not have one already, but it will be required. To get that second allotment, you will need to turn in that business plan. If you're someone that already has one or is working on one, we'll just want you to work on it and update it so that we can see that. That requirement is there because over the years, and again, we've been doing this for nearly 20 years, we have seen that farms that have business plans that they work on are more successful and tend to have more long-term success than farms that do not. So we want to help you be successful. We want to provide you with the resources to make you as successful as possible. So that's why we have that as a requirement. So a business plan is very important. There will be, like I mentioned before, there will be final paperwork involved. So there will be a final income expense report. And again, to receive that last $500, you'll need to turn in some paperwork. And we're going to ask that our grantees recognize AgOptions and the North Carolina Tobacco Trust Fund and any kind of promotional materials and marketing materials that directly relate to your AgOptions program. And again, we're going to use your picture, put it on our website. We're going to release press releases. We really want to be we're very proud of all our AgOptions recipients. So if you have some sort of super secretive project that you don't want anybody in the world knowing about, the AgOptions program may not be the one for you. So let's get out the application now and talk a little bit about the application itself. It's not a complicated application, but there needs to be enough information presented into this application so that the folks that are reviewing your application have a really good idea about who you are, what your goals are, what kind of project you're going to be attempting to accomplish with your grant, and how they know that you have got the resources, the experience, and the know-how to be able to do the project that you propose. So just a couple of things, and if you want to turn to your application now, we can go over page by page. So the first 4 pages of the application are really the guidelines, and that is the things that we've pretty much gone over already. And then we'll talk about a little bit more about some of the things later. So the very first page, which is the applicant information, just to remind you that these grant funds are considered taxable income, and WNC Communities, again, who is the one that's going to be issuing your check, we'll file a 1099 and we'll require you to fill out a W-9 requesting an employee identification number or a social security number. So somebody, the applicant who applies, just keep in mind that there will be a tax implication on this. So have that in mind when you're thinking about who is going to be the responsible person. If it's just you and your family, if you have an LLC, that's great. That's who will do it. But that are some of the information we want to make very clear at the beginning. And also, please provide the contact information, including a mailing address if it's different from your physical address, as accurately as possible. Again, we may need to contact you when we get your grant, if we see something missing, if we have any questions, and we want to make sure that we have the most accurate information to get a hold of you with. If you go to the next page now, we have got the applicant information. So this is questions 1 through 9 in the applicant information section. And this is the part where you'll get priority if you can show that you have one or more of these conditions met. So we're going to ask if you have a North Carolina Department of Revenue tax exemption number. It's yes or no. Do you have a Farm Service Agency number? Yes or no. Do you file a Schedule F or equivalent Schedule C to the IRS? Yes or no. Do you generate more than a half of your income from your crops or from your farm products or services? Do you carry insurance for your farm business? Do you have a formal business structure? So, for example, are you an LLC, or are you a sole proprietor, or maybe you have a different business structure? Has your farm produced $1,000 of more or more in farm sales annually? Do you participate in any present use value programs? And are you actively a participant in any grower association or commodity group meetings? All of these questions that we ask right here are helping show that you are a legitimate farm business. You probably don't have a yes for all of these. That's okay. You may only have a yes for a few of them. That's okay too. What we're trying to do is really target those folks who have serious businesses that are looking to have profit and make money from your farm business, to determine the difference between you and, let's just say, someone who's a hobby farmer. Again, there's nothing wrong with being a hobby farmer, but our program is targeting those who are looking to strengthen their existing farm business or starting a legitimate farm business. So you're still eligible to apply if you don't meet all these criteria, but more priority will be given the more that you can show that you have met these conditions. If you have any additional questions about any of these, please see your ag agent or get a hold of us through the contact information that we will provide at the end of this. So questions 10 and 11 have to do with your farming history. And again, we are looking to have you tell your story, because the reviewers that are reviewing your application, they know about agriculture, they know about farms, they know about farm businesses, but they don't know anything about you. So you are beginning to tell your story in this application, starting with those information that we just gave you. Even those questions, those yes or no questions are, even those yes or no questions that we talked about are giving the reviewers an idea of you and your farm business. So here at your farming history section, we give you two different ways to do that. One is sort of a chart where you can list your products, the services that you've offered, where you sell, where you've sold, and dates that you've been in business. But then we also give you a narrative portion on question 11 to elaborate a little more on that farming history. So include any kind of relevant professional and educational experiences. How long have you been farming? Did you grow up on a farm? What does farming mean to you and your family? Again, putting you and your role as a farmer in Western North Carolina into perspective to the reviewers so that they can see really a little bit about you and your specific farming activities and what you're doing. So you've got, again, two different ways. You'll also notice on question 11 that there is a suggestion for a 375 word maximum. Are we going to count up the words? And if you're over 375, are we going to toss your application? Of course not. But we are going to make sure that you're giving us about that information. We're not looking on 4 pages of your farming history. We're looking at a clear, concise, about 375 words for you to explain to the reviewers just what kind of farm you are, how long you've been farming, and maybe some of your, like I said, professional or educational experience you have to show that you have the resources needed to do your project. Question 12 under applicant information is regarding tobacco history. If you or your family members have grown tobacco on the land you're farming now, please answer these questions to the best of your ability. If you have no tobacco history, that does not disqualify you from receiving the grant, but please just skip section 12. And again, to be perfectly transparent, folks who have who grow tobacco and have tobacco history do receive a little bit of priority in our grant applicant process, our grant review process. Everybody still needs to have a strong, viable project and plan, and a project proposal must be strong, but those with tobacco history get a little bit of priority in our system. Just wanted to make sure that was very clear. So next, really, we're getting to the meat of the application, and that is the project and proposal section. This is section 2. If you've got your application in front of you, this is going to be the first question asked on page 4. And we've got a 750 word maximum. This is the longest section you'll be asked to fill out, but really this is probably one of the most important questions in the entire application. Please provide a description of what you are proposing in your grant application. So some of the things that we're going to want to see in this section are, how does this project fit into your existing farming operation? How are you going to handle the additional workload? What research have you done into any of the production methods that you're going to be introducing into your operation? And again, because everybody's project is going to be so different, this is as open-ended as possible, but there are some specific things that we're looking for again. So it's good to keep in mind to read this, to write your proposal as if the reader, that's the person that's going to be reading your application, has very limited information about your particular farming operation. So again, you've sort of painted a picture to them in the history about your history, who you are, how long you've been farming. So maybe this picks up with that, but talks a little bit more about the overall goals of your farm. So provide enough information that's going to give a clear overview of your project and its goals. Explain, maybe it's good. And again, these are just suggestions and they're not going to be applicable to everybody's project, but maybe it's a good to explain the pros and cons of the project you're proposing. If you are including any kind of new innovative ideas, maybe show that you know how you found out about those ideas and how you think that this project is going to be economically sustainable for you and your farm. Also, too, it's good to mention here what you're going to use the grant money on. Sometimes I've read project proposals before in this section where it outlines a really good project, but it doesn't specifically say we are going to be using our grant money to spend on this. So again, the person reading your application doesn't know anything. They know about agriculture, but they don't know anything about you. So if you're looking to expand an already successful business, maybe you can explain some of your successes and how that expansion will contribute to that. If you're proposing a project that's a completely new thing for your farm and is new and innovative, you may need to spend a little more time talking about that new innovative method, equipment, or whatever you're doing. Again, very specific to your project, but if the reader reads this section, they should come out clearly knowing what your project is, what you're going to spend your grant money on, and what are your overall goals that you hope to accomplish. So number 2 is specifically focused on the outcomes of your project. We're wanting 500 words maximum here, so a little less than before, but that's enough to give the reader some ideas about really what are your expected outcomes. So things that can be included in this section, don't necessarily apply to everybody but are you expecting any increases in income? How will this project boost your overall existing operation? Will any other farmers in your region benefit from this program? Are you intending to increase markets or increase customers? What other goals do you hope to accomplish with this project? And what the reviewers are looking for here too are pretty specific things. We're not just looking for an overall statement that says, with this project, I hope to increase efficiency on the farm. That's good. But if you can put some real numbers to that, we hope to increase efficiency by X%. We hope to increase our profits by this margin. We hope to expand our markets to reach X more customers. Just showing the reviewers that you have done some good future thinking with the outcomes, and you have distinct goals that you're helping to accomplish with your project. So maybe these are, short-term goals. Maybe these are things that you're hoping at the end of the year or end of 2 years you're hoping to accomplish with this. Again, you can bullet these answers. It doesn't have to be in a narrative paragraph form. That's perfectly fine if you want a number. We hope to accomplish 3 major things from this project, 1, 2, and 3. We are looking to get the information from you. We are not looking necessarily for fancy, flowery language. Our reviewers want to get to the point, know what you hope to accomplish, and be able to determine that very quickly when reading your application. Question 3 in the project and proposal section is going to speak to how you plan to market or sell your farm business product or experience. So where we're looking, you said what you're going to do, you said what you hope to accomplish, here's what your goals are, and here's the outcomes. But this is specifically looking to who's agreed to buy your product. What is the demand for your product or service, and how do you know? Show that you've considered one more market in case an avenue is blocked. COVID was a really great example of having more than one way to sell your product should something come along. Again, show that you're prepared for a change in market conditions. Show that you have done thorough research into potential markets. And again, 250 words here, not a lot. But again, looking for you to show some concrete information here. Name those where you sell, name how much you sell, name how much you're looking to expand, or how you're going to go about that. Question 4, how is this project going to enhance or increase the capability of your farm to continue farming, increase the long-term economic viability of your farm? 250 words. Think of these maybe as those long-term goals, wherein question 2, when we talked about outcomes, and maybe those are more short-term goals, these can really be thinking to those far off goals. How is this project going to increase your capability to continue farming? Will this project help a future generation to continue farming and keep your farm in farmland? What are the long-term goals from your farm? You may have found that you are repeating yourself in these questions. That is fine. The more that you can emphasize a very important goal or outcome or what you're hoping to accomplish, if that means you've repeated it, you've mentioned it in question 1, you've repeated it in question 2, and you've repeated it in question 4, that is fine. We're giving you multiple opportunities to discuss different parts of your project, but again, also it's okay if the questions are repeating. That's just going to emphasize, and that's going to help the reviewer know what's really important to you in your project. The last narrative question that we have in the application is going to refer to that demonstrative quality that I mentioned in one of our goals, being able to demonstrate your project to the larger agricultural community as a whole. So this question is going to ask, how could you showcase your project and any of the practices that you've used in your project to the overall agricultural community? This question was initially introduced to help folks who were transitioning out of tobacco come up with other ideas. If this is a viable option for farmer A, maybe farmers B, C, and D will be able to benefit from what's happened. So think about that too. What is the potential for others in the region to replicate what you did? And give some local context to your project too. Is this something new and unique to you? Is it new and unique to your county? Or maybe even the area? That's just going to show that maybe you're trying a method that hasn't been tried before, that others may benefit if that works out for you. Or if it doesn't work out for you even, that's valuable information as well. And then how are you going to make your project and the information that you gain from it available to others? So some of this might be participating in a field day with your local extension office. Maybe it's you providing a workshop. Maybe you showcase your project on social media. Any way that you're going to be able to tell the story and tell the outcome of your project to others is what we're looking for here. So that is the end of the narrative sections. The question 6 that follows is going to be a timeline. So thinking about you and what you're going to be doing the next year in 2023, map out your activities month by month on this chart to show you when you plan to make purchases, when you're planning on doing the different aspects of your project as you described. Again, we're looking for enough detail in this timeline to show the reviewers that you've got a good grasp of what it's going to take to pull off this project, and that you understand that when time of year you're targeting to try to get things done. This is going to be really important as you're also going to be doing the usual day-to-day tasks on your farm as well as this new project. So it kind of can show the timeline of how that all fits together. There needs to be enough information there that the reviewers can see what you're talking about. But it doesn't have to be detailed what you're doing every single day, every week. We're just going month by month. What are the major tasks that are going to be accomplished by you for this project that you're proposing on this timeline? So probably one of the second to the narrative part, the financial plan is going to be your most important section to spend some time on. And how we have this section for you organized is if you look on page 8, we have provided you a small worksheet. This worksheet is going to help you show your anticipated expenses associated with this project and maybe your anticipated income. It might also show cost savings. Not every project's goal is to necessarily increase income directly. The goal of your project may be to increase efficiencies on your farm, to lower labor costs, to lower fuel costs. That's valid too. And this sheet is what it's going to help you show is how this project affects your farm's overall bottom line. So we're looking for good returns on investment. We're going to give you and your farm business either $4,000 or $8,000. How is this influx of this $8,000 to you? What are the outcomes financially that will happen with this money to show that that you are increasing your profitability and increasing your efficiency on the farm, or whatever your goals are with this money? So that's what this first sheet is about. So if you have any questions about this, your ag agent is a good person to go to. Please get a hold of us and we'll help you kind of figure out a good way to go about this. And what this is all leading up to is the budget. which is on page 9, and this is your expected estimated expenses for your 2023 project. This is what you are going to be spending your grant money on. Therefore, because you are expected to be making a match of 10%, so what that means is if you're applying for a $4,000 grant, this budget needs to be at least $4,400. Or if you're applying for an $8,000 grant, this section budget must be at least $8,800, showing that you will be putting in 10% into this budget. So what will you be using your grant money on? And this list needs to be fairly researched. Not going to say detailed because it does need to include details, but we don't need every detail. If you're building a pack and wash shed on your in a field, we don't need to see every cost for every nail and every piece of lumber. But overall, what did you use? What are the line items that you're using to estimate how much it's going to cost to do your project? And again, this not only gives the reviewers a good idea that you've researched and that the numbers are real, it is helping you plan your project. And we will expect should you receive a grant, we will expect that your budget is going to look very similar to this at the end of your project. Now, of course, we understand that things are always going to change. So this is an estimate. It is a best guess on this part, but this best guess needs to be researched and as realistic as possible. So that's what's going to go on there. Again, needs to be at least 10% more. We do give you the opportunity to list in kind. So we had mentioned that there were things that would not be covered, like you and your family members' labor. However, if you want to show in the in kind what you'll be contributing to the project, and if you're going to work an extra 10 hours for 2 months to work on this project, you could show that here, that's what you're going to be putting into, because you're going to be doing some of the work. Any kind of existing equipment that you're going to be using, or anything that you can think of that would show additional things that you will bring to this other than the budgeted items up above, you can include that there in the in-kind section. And then finally, there's an income section. So the income is for you, again, based on that sort of that budget, that sheet on the first page of the financial section. What are you planning to, what is your income? And again, this might be a cost savings as opposed to income, but that is for you to list expected income as a direct result of your project. If your project is not expected to have income for years, and this happens, sometimes the project that you're planning now in 2023, you won't have any expected income to 24, 25, that is fine. Just make sure you make a note on there so they know, the reviewers know that, and again, they should probably know this by now, because if you're doing a truffle project or a tree nut project where you're planting the tree nuts now and you don't expect it to have any nuts for 2-3 years, or apple project down the line, they're going to know that because they've already read about it in your application. But this is just a good another place to say, hey, I'm not going to be harvesting apples until 2025. And when I do, this is how much I'm going to do. And again, it says at the bottom here that if you have not referenced elsewhere in your application, please explain how you came up with those numbers for the income. It's important to know that you have based your income upon realistic expectations. So section 3, this has to do with a cooperating agent. So again, remember when I talked about in the timeline that you need to meet that intent to apply deadline by October 14th. So just reiterating that you need to talk to your local county cooperative agent about your AgOptions proposal, because that agent will be your partner and will be providing you assistance on not only developing your project proposal, but should you receive the grant, there'll be someone that's going to be helping you with your project as you move along. So again, if your agent is familiar with you and your farm business, this may be a simple phone call, and your interaction with your agent might be limited. If you've applied for a grant before, if you've worked with your agent before, this may be not involved. However, if you've not worked closely with your agent before, they may want to come out and visit your farm. They may want to learn a little bit more about you and your operation. So we just want to make sure that they have enough time to do that. So that is why it's important to meet this deadline. Your agent will also be providing a recommendation form to our review team that is going to kind of describe their assessment of your project as well. So again, if you have a close working relationship with them, or you developed a relationship with them during this application process, that is going to be helpful for them as they are providing that recommendation form to your team. And if you do not meet that intent to apply deadline, you may not receive all of the points possible coming to you in the review process. So right now, we're saying, please contact your agent by October 14th to let them know what you're applying for and that you are interested in applying for the grant, and ultimately have an idea for that in mind when you call them. So that is the intent to apply procedure with your cooperating agent. However, you may be working with more than one agent. You may be working with other people. You have a section here on section 4 to list some additional folks that you're working on that can provide you letters of support. These letters of support can help you gain some points on your application. So in addition to your cooperating agent, if you can provide names of any other people who are going to be supporting with your project and explain how they're going to be helping you, these two or more folks can submit a letter of support for you. And these are from people who are going to be helping you directly on your application, on your project. So maybe it's potential buyers. That's an important cooperator. Maybe it's a crop consultant, an agriculture advisor, a marketing specialist. Maybe it's another ag agent or a specialist that you've been working with. Again, this is helping the reviewers know that you've got support and that you've got the resources necessary that are going to help your project be as successful as possible. These are not merely character references. We're not looking for letters that say, I've worked with this person for a number of years and I think they'll make a great grant applicant or a great grantee. We want the letters to say, I've been working with this person, this farmer for this, on this, I've been helping consult, I will be buying product, I have done a similar operation and I will be helping provide them with guidance, I will be there to answer questions, I will be there to support this person. That is what we're looking for in this letter from them. If you have any questions about who would make a good cooperator for you, please just see your ag agent or give us a call or contact us and we can help you with that. Generally, it's not too hard to find folks that are going to be helping you with your project. So the next section, section 5, this is only for those who have received an Ag Options grant before. If you have never received an Ag Options grant, including a brief period, there was a similar grant offered by RAFI, the Rural Agriculture, I'll put 3, 2, 1. Section 5 is for past Ag Options recipients only. So if you did receive an Ag Options grant before, or from 2009 to 2011, if you received a Tobacco Communities Reinvestment Grant from RAFI, you will be required to fill out this section. If you have never received an Ag Options grant before, please make a big X on this section right now and you do not need to fill this out. But for, like we mentioned before, you are allowed to apply for up to 3 Ag Options, or you're allowed to receive up to 3 Ag Options grants. However, we give priority to those who have never received grants by removing points from those who have received a grant before. This is a way for the grantees to gain back, the previous grantees to gain back some of the points on that. So again, these questions apply only to those who have received an AgOptions grant before. And if you have any questions about that, you can get a hold of us. Section 6 has to do with the last page of the application. The last page of the application, because this is a state-funded grant, we must have a statement that is signed and notarized, yes, notarized, that says that you do not owe any overdue taxes and that there are no conflicts of interest between you and, is your uncle sit on the Tobacco Trust Fund Commission board. We just need to know about that right up front. So this must be signed and notarized. Please add that into your timeline so that you allow plenty of time for yourself to get this signed and notarized before the application is due on November 18th. Section 7 must be signed. This is just attesting that, there are some following statements that are on page 13 that must be agreed to. Please sign that. If you are emailing your application, you can email copies of your signed and notarized page and your signed and dated verification statement. Should you be awarded, we will want the originals. So please save the originals in a safe place. Even if you scan and send them in for your application, should you be awarded, we will need the original. That completes the application. You can attach additional information. We really want you to keep that to a minimum. So no multimedia, no links to YouTube. We will not have time to do that. But if there's a few photos that might go along to show your project, to show your farm, think about information that is going to be supporting your proposal. If there's a few photographs, a few quotes, maybe you've got some quotes of how you came up with budget items, please feel free to attach those, but please keep it to a minimum, as that is going to be helpful to keep the grant applications as concise as possible. We expect to get over 100 of them, if not more, and anything to do to keep these as concise as possible. But again, if you've got a photo or a quote or an estimate or something that is going to really help your application, please feel free to include it. Just a couple other details here. The 2023 applications must be, we hope that they are typed. We are not disqualifying handwritten applications, but we want you to have every advantage possible in the review process. And typed applications are just easier for our reviewers to read. So even if your handwriting is good, again, sometimes it's just a little harder to read a handwritten application. So again, we want you to we want you to have all the opportunity possible, and the best way to do that is to make sure your application is easily read by typing it. Please don't waste any time or money putting your application in a file, in a binder or a folder. I'm going to rip it up and tear it and get rid of it anyway. So just if you're hand delivering your application or mailing it, please just be one copy of your application stapled together. That's all we need with any of your supporting information there. Again, hard copies must be at WNC Communities by 5 p.m. on November 18th, emailed applications by noon. Please take some time to review the email requirements, as this is very important to make sure that we can get your application. All emailed application documents, including any attachments and including your letters of support, should be in PDF format. So again, we had mentioned those two sections where there are scans. That is fine. You can include the scans there. We would love it if your entire application could be in a single PDF file. If that makes it too big to email or can't be done, additional attachments can be sent as one document, and the application can be sent as a separate document. They must be in our email box by noon, and that is to make sure that we can receive all of them by then and make sure that by the end of the day, we can get back to you in case we can't read it or a file doesn't come through. The correct email address to email these to are agoptions@wncommunities.org. Please put the words 2023 WNC AgOptions application in the subject line.